welcome back everyone to Onslaught and another faction-focused video. This time on, the other side of the nightly fence with the Chaos Knights. To start with, we have Mr. Caesar returning.
Greetings, friends. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
We have Dustin as well back to talk about these big boys.
Hey, Faz. Nice to be back again, guys.
And then we have Anime Squirrel talking about his experience taking Chaos Knights for a spin on the tabletop.
Hello, I am waving behind the picture of the Rampager.
So kind of for a quick introduction, Caesar, if you want to reintroduce yourself again, or anything you got going on social media wise, so people can get more of you, where would they find that?
Yes, I am the creator behind Recon by Fire, which specializes in short form battle reports, typically about the 20-minute range. I cover everything in there, just roll out kind of the excessive stuff that takes up time, as well as various focused strategy videos on Imperial Knights, Chaos Knights, Grey Knights, and Dark Angels. Yes.
Yep, those are awesome. If you haven't checked them out, I highly encourage you to. It was great stuff. Mr. Dustin, is there anywhere people might find more of you if they were so inclined?
You can just reach out to me on Discord. I'm on the Onslaught Discord. I, follow Recon by Fire, of course. Anytime you want to reach out, just let me know. I'll give you a heads up. I'll talk to you about big robots. I'm a faction specialist, or what they say.
What they... He is. Don't let his humility fool you. He will crush you underfoot. Kindly, but still. Well, he'll be back. And Anime Squirrel, for you, if people wanted to ask you questions or reach out to you, how would they do that?
I go to a lot of Onslaught RTTs. I'm not biggest on social media, but probably on the Discord. I am on the Discord. So if you add me on the Onslaught Discord, I'll respond eventually.
Yep. So with our three wonderful guests here, let's go in reverse order. Start back with Anime Squirrel. How did you get into Chaos Knights, and kind of what drew you to this faction of your 28 options?
So way back in the day when we started, I went with I started with Tau. The robot suit aesthetic kind of drew me in, and then over the past few years, I just keep seeing the Knights over and over, and I've been wanting to play them, but I had like this whole hang up of I have a good friend who plays them, so I don't really want to step on his toes. But then eventually I got over that, and then the Chaos Knight Codex for 10th edition came out, and like the really nice Abominant and Ruinator model, with all the spiky bits and all the weapon options and everything. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna dive in, get the Codex, get a few of these big models. I have some Questoris ones, but these guys are spiky and cool. So I did that, grabbed a few, and got a few War Dogs, and kind of started dipping my toes in, playing a few games here and there, still mixing up with some of my other factions, not really focusing. But then I started more and more focusing on Chaos Knights, and for like the past, I don't want to say 7 or 8 months, I've been playing Chaos Knights exclusively.
Alrighty. So you were tempted by the allure of chaos. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Caesar, how about you? What drew you to the spiky boys?
Mine, unfortunately, is not as exciting. Pretty much content creation. I was playing Imperial Knights and making battle reports, and realized a lot of people were asking for the other side of the fence. And we all know the best way to learn how to beat a faction is to play it, so you know its strengths and weaknesses and understand what you hate to see on the other side of the board. And so I decided, like, why not? They have different data sheets. It expands my knowledge of the game, and it's what the fans want to see. So pretty much my YouTube channel is what got me into Chaos Knights. And I'll be honest, it's pretty nice. They have candy on this side.
Skittles of chaos. Mr. Dustin, how about you, sir?
I also started with Imperial Knights like Caesar, and then I just eventually, they're super easy to magnetize. It's very easy to play both factions, and that's how I ended up playing Chaos Knights as well. Being able just to switch between a despoiler or a crusader at any time is pretty nice.
I'm just having like a Gundam style like cinematic of it just pulling into a bay, an arm just like falling off with a weapon, and just like another one being on and just going back out into the battlefield.
Awesome.
Very much.
That does seem to be a common trend, especially because the armies are very close, especially like chassis, like there are a lot of 1-for-1s like the Gallant and the Rampager, right, where they're basically the same thing just on the opposite side. So that does actually, I want to be real with you, we didn't come into this prepping for those of you at home. I thought all three. I'm like, yeah, well, I had one, I just figured I'd get into the other. And so no, that's awesome. And yeah, no, however you find your way to a faction, you all three sound like you enjoy it, which is good because we have a lot of episode left. So going with that, Mr. Dustin, what would you could you just tell us, share maybe your experience playing the army, whether for 10th or maybe a little further back if you started before 10th, and just kind of how you've experienced it on the tabletop.
I would say that I'm mostly a teams player. I play a lot of team events, and I started my Warhammer journey in 10th edition, and I've been very successful with playing the big chassis, a lot of big robots, triple despoiler list, Infernal Lance. I love that list a lot, and also I think being able to the access to the allies like Beast of Nurgle and Nurglings really helped out a lot of matchups and teams.
Fantastic. We get some your team perspective will be very appreciated, both just in general and from even people who kind of play friends or go to singles events to kind of what to expect, because in teams matchup pairing is the game before the game, so to speak, where you don't get that in singles. It's just whoever you get. So that's wonderful. Caesar, starting with content creation, how has your journey gone with that, switching from the Imperial to the Chaos side?
Chaos Knights have been quite enjoyable. There's quite a bit of versatility in list building and the way it plays on the tabletop, which really allows an army and faction that's typically felt as being skewed, because obviously you're bringing just straight vehicles into the battlefield. You're able to lean into more war dogs if you want and have more of a go wide kind of style. You're able to lean heavier into your bigs and kind of play big stompy robots. You can have access to all 4 disciplines of demons. I'm not sure, factions of demons, chapters. I don't know what the right word is for the demons, but factions, yeah. And you're able to diversify that way, right? If you want your trash to be, or your allies to be a little tougher, you can look at Nurglings or the Nurgle faction. Or if you want them to be a little faster, a little more aggressive, you could look at World Leader, World Leaders. Khorne, thank you. Khorne or Slaanesh. And so it gives you that versatility, and you have the access to various detachments that kind of lean into that play style, or give you the flexibility of just locking into that detachment and changing up your list to tweak for your meta. And so because of that and that versatility, I feel like the faction really gives you the spice of life, where it's very difficult to get bored of what you're playing with if you kind of play with the same play group, or it allows you to cater your list to your play style and for a competitive scene to shore up what you're lacking or what you require in your tournament scene.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Very comprehensive answer. Thank you. And that is very true, especially what you mentioned with just your accessibility to allies is quite insane. And Anime Squirrel, how about you? With your slow fall into chaos.
It's been a lot of fun diving headfirst into the shallow end of this pool. Is like you said, there's a lot of diversity. You can go as wide or as narrow as you want. Every detachment feels like its own unique play style, like completely. So like I prefer as many big boys on the table as I can. So I play a lot of like the Lords of Dread, and I actually got to take a list to my first time playing Chaos Knights at a team event, and Caesar was kind enough to lend me a couple of one of my favorite models, the Cerastus Lancer, and yeah, it you know, going into that, you skew list oftentimes the teams, and it did really well.
Mm-hmm. Great segue. You know, first time on the channel, but you're a natural at this. We'll stay with you. You know, what are your you know, some of your favorite units, or maybe a pet unit who, even if it's not like meta or, you know, what's the word we're looking for here, efficient, you still just throw it in?
So favorite unit is probably the Lancer. I tend to build lists no matter what faction I'm playing, with my favorite unit, and be like, this is what I'm starting with. What can I build around it? And oftentimes, almost every time, it's the Cerastus Lancer. Sometimes I fit in 2. If I'm feeling really spicy, I'll do 3. But that's if I'm feeling really spicy. But the Lancer is just an ICBM, and you put him into the right targets, he moves fast, and everyone goes, holy crap, what is that, when he hits the right thing. Pet unit, the Tyrant. I love the biggest, stompiest boy. I love the Brimstone Volcano Lance. I tell people that profile, and they're just like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it might hit you. It might. I might roll enough attacks to hit something. So obviously, I'm really excited about the detachment for it coming up in next edition. If I pick units that I don't like, because I to my own detriment, I don't like allying in demons. I'm a purist, just straight up. I have a hard time running war dogs as well, just because maybe it's just because I don't run them the right way or in enough volume, but I have a hard time finding them reliable. But I mean, that's also probably my favoritism towards the bigger boys anyway. So it's probably me. The war dogs are cool though.
We got 2 other tactics on the show. It's perfectly fine to have your own flavor of style.
Carnivores are the exception to the rule, though. Carnivores are great.
Right. Caesar, how about you? Some favorite or pet units you might have picked up along the way while playing?
So I would say the Carnivore, but I think because the community as a whole is so high on them, they disappoint me. I like them. Don't get me wrong. I like them, and I bring them because they get the job done. But I think in my mind, every time someone talks about a Carnivore on any social media, they're like, it's the bee's knees. So when it disappoints me, I'm just like, ugh. So I'm going to have to go with the Rampager. The Rampager is just an absolute powerhouse that intimidates your opponent. It is a Questor or an Aberrant. It's an Aberrant chastity, so it's not as durable as the Lancer, but man, that thing having dev wounds built into it is just an absolute animal with the amount of attacks it could bring, and it has some good intimidation factor that forces your opponent to play accordingly, and you can sometimes get an advantage off of the negative space it creates, where you just plop it somewhere staged and the opponent's like, well, I'm gonna have to deal with that, and I don't want to lose anything important to that, so I'm gonna play around it. And then you'll get a turn or two where the opponent is making suboptimal plays because they're just worried about when that Rampager is gonna come out and bring the Rampage. So I'm gonna have to go with that guy.
Yep, and not to get too deep into it, but very exciting stuff for models like the Rampager coming up in the new edition, where Heroic Intervention is changing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a counter charge; it's also a anti-move block charge. So that's some exciting stuff for him in particular. Not Knights as a whole, because move blocking has been one of the main things, but particularly the Rampager, who gets dev wounds on a charge. Nasty. Dustin, same question, sir.
if you caught the IK episode, that you would know that the Lancer is my favorite model ever. It's my favorite knight. It's awesome. Hits like a truck. He's always my IB, like Anime Squirrel was saying, IBM missile that I just love sitting forth at somebody. Hands down, my favorite model.
I've played so many Lancers. They're my second favorite. Like, I don't play the faction, but the Abominate is my favorite knight of either faction. I just love the tentacle arm, the tail, the tentacle arm. It looks. God, I wish it was good. I wish I saw it more. But Lancer. Like I said, I apologize, folks. There is an Imperial Knight episode where Caesar and Dustin gave us their breakdown for that faction on the channel. If you would like to go watch that, please do. Lots of good information there and lots of stuff about the other side of the fence that we're on today. But that's wonderful, gentlemen. Thank you. A nice little varying of answers, which is always good. So you see a lot of people, similar with Imperial Knights, look at Chaos Knights and think it's a very kind of like you pointed out, Caesar, a kind of like skew, like almost like Lego mono build faction, because like, well, you just got knights, how much can you really do with it? And even here, kind of talking about your experience and play styles, we have a wild variation. From teams to singles to allies to no allies to war dogs to all bigs, which is good. And like again, Caesar, you mentioned it really brings a life to people who play the faction, so you don't just get bored. Or your friends get bored of playing the same 6 models every game. But with that being said, we'll start with Caesar. Start in the middle this time. Change it up. Keep everyone on their toes. What would you, kind of going along those lines, what would you say you found like your play style to be? Like if you were to, say, this is how I want to play the faction, like where have you kind of leaned into the Chaos Knight meta?
Right down the middle of the road. Tactics, points, and movement, man. That's where it's at. I approach every faction the same, and it's interesting with knights, but yeah, I'm pretty much I'm the sample platter. I bring some armigers, some war dogs. I bring some big knights, and I bring some allies, and they just kind of each have a role to play throughout the game, and it just works because I have the right size unit for the right task. And so I typically, I'll bring, of course, on the chaos side, you do have to pay a tax for your allies. You can't just bring whatever you want. Anytime you bring a non-battle line unit from a faction, you do have to bring a battle line unit from that faction. And for me at the moment, I'm going with the Plague Bears as my battle line unit. It's a 10-man squad that's a little more durable than you would expect for trash. They have the capabilities of punching up a little bit later in the game, but most importantly, they bring sticky objective, which is huge for knights that typically have less models than your opponent. Being able to sticky an objective early and then being able to push later and know that objective is going to stay yours is a huge game changer. I bring a Beast of Nurgle that's durable as all get out and can heal itself back up to full every phase. So it forces your opponent to dedicate an actual good unit to take it out. If not, it's just going to stay where it's at. And I use that to kind of play the mid game or the middle of the field. And then rotate between 2 and 3 larger knights based on the meta and what I need them for. But right now, like everyone that plays a knight faction, I'm leaning on 3. I'm very hard pressed to go into 4 unless I'm running Lords of Dread, like Anime Squirrel mentioned. And I just like my Infernal Lance. I'm playing Hell Hunt because I think even though the detachment rule is a little lackluster, the stratagems there are very powerful. And we have one of the best ones, which is Fallback, Shoot, and Charge, which is just awesome. And so I dabble between those two because it's just the Swiss Army knife. You have stratagems for offense, stratagems for defense, stratagems to score points. And then it's really hard to build a list without 3 carnivores right now. And I say this because of the fact that their movement is just 14-inch flat movement, get to reroll charges. They're going to get to where they need to be to make a problem for your opponent. And that really is where they shine for me. That's typically where my kind of list is sitting at in play style. I play the game. I run out the size unit I need to take a point, to score a secondary, to screen out my opponent, to threaten my opponent's expansion, pressure, and just I play the tactical game. That's where I'm at. I don't need to be kicking down your home field turn 1 and like rampaging through everything. I mean, it is nice when I do, but I try to get all 5 rounds in. So yeah, I'm smack dab in the middle of the road, my brother.
No, that's fantastic. You know, Chaos Knights as a toolbox army is certainly a unique take, and I don't say that as like a knock. That's something a lot of people won't see coming. It usually is, you know, kick your door down, or maybe kind of more of a cagey, wait until like the game starts, bottom of 2 or sometime in turn 3, and then just stat check you with their, you know, bodies. But we'll go to Anime Squirrel next, because I want to save Dustin for last with his team perspective, as that is a bit of a different you know, play field for play style, where you can really skew even more than the faction kind of lends to. So Anime Squirrel, how's what is your preferred play style? You know, and I think Caesar really honed in by naming detachments to really like express how you want to play it.
So there's 2 ways I like to play. Lords of Dread is what I'm doing right now, but Infernal Lance is really good. I keep getting tempted to go with it, but that sticky strat with Lords of Dread just it's so good. Anytime I play without being able to sticky something, it feels wrong. And my other favorite detachment, it's almost like an antithesis to what I said earlier about being a purist, and it's the Iconoclast Fiefdom as it is now. Like it's so thematic, and so like everything seems to be named right, work right. The idea of bringing the trash and it actually doing like what trash is supposed to do. So like you screen with like 40 to 60 cultists, move them around, they'll sticky for you, and then you have some smalls and some bigs in various combinations. I usually lean towards 4 bigs, but you can mix and match with that detachment, and then you just scoop up and eat a handful of them and just blast your opponent in the face. It's really fun to play. I remember the first time I played it, I was an absolute madman and brought 100 cultists to my first RTT with that list. And it was a lot of fun rolling up with just like sacks of cultists and slowly putting them on the table. But at the end of the day, I'm like, this is probably too many cultists.
Nah, the knights they hunger.
They do. They hunger. The cultists are there to make the ultimate sacrifice.
Did any cultists make it to the end of the game?
Actually, yeah.
Then it was too many cultists. You're right.
It was too many cultists. Well, even in a lot of my games with 50, because you can bring some back when you kill a unit or when a unit's killed, even when you eat them. Oftentimes in round 5, I'll have a unit be able to come in someone's backfield and score some last minute points. And it's nice because the like 10 cultists don't have that big a footprint, and you just bring them in. It's like, oh, here's my turn 5 sabotage, or I'm gonna block your defense stronghold or something like that. So I really do enjoy Iconoclast Fiefdom. I don't play very much because even at 50, moving that many models, it can be a chore when you're used to winning 5.
That's not why you're in this faction, though. I will say,
I'm here for the big stompy robots.
Another benefit of that detachment in particular is the cultists kind of serve a dual purpose, as they take on the role of the plague bearers, where they also have sticky and objective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's really good for someone like me who is more of a purist, who doesn't necessarily want to, even if it's for the benefit of the list, take bloodletters or Nurglings or Beasts of Nurgles. As cool as Beasts of Nurgles are, and they are cool. I do like being pure, and that allows me to take the trash that the demon allies would allow me to do and still be a purist.
All right. Mr. Dustin, for team events, again, where the meta is a lot more skewed to getting your preferred layout or matchup, how do you kind of what's your play style you lean into with Chaos Knights?
So for teams, I would say there's like two major ways you can really skew heavy, and that's gonna be like the 5 bigs, Lord of Dreads list that Anime and Caesar was talking about, or a list that wasn't really discussed was gonna be the 12 smalls list for Hound Pack Lance, and those, like, they have two different jobs where like the 5 bigs likes to push stiff, big wins 20-0, and that 13 or 12 smalls Hound Pack list is it's like almost like a blunter kind of style where it's very hard to push diff into. It has a ton of wounds, it has a ton of models on the bit field that can still score pretty good, and they have some of the best strats in the game where like they get to fight and shoot on death, which is really crazy when you think about it.
So good.
Like if you activate and then they fight, they blow you, like you charge something with a carnivore, they heroic something, and you get to fight twice in the same fight phase, and that's just amazing.
Oh, it's nasty.
And those are like, I think Hound Pack's probably one of my favorite ways to play this style of army. Just the fact that there's so much stuff on the field. You're right. You got 6 carnivores, 5 stalkers, and an executioner with a lot of allies too. You just have a ton of stuff, and that's a lot to deal with. And I think it's very good.
I remember 10th edition Index Hammer, and even pre the Codex, almost every Chaos Knight matchup I went into was just 14 War Dogs, and I'm like, what do I like? I could kill 5 or 6 of these, and then like I'm out of an army. What do I do? It is very overwhelming.
I remember the first time I played that detachment, and my opponent, we were bottom of 3, and I was like, man, you've killed a lot. And then I look at my table and I'm like, I still have a lot. Like, this is nuts.
It happens all the time. They're like, their go turn, they pick up 4 smalls, and you're like, well, I still have 9 left.
Yeah. Yeah. It's addictive. It's very addictive.
And kind of outside of like team, but like you yourself, is Hound Pack like what you enjoy playing, or like what's if like you're just setting up a game at home on like a Saturday afternoon where you're like, what, this is where I'm having the most fun at?
I like playing the 5 bigs. Lord of Dreads is my favorite. And then I also like to play like 5 bigs in Inferno, which is just unique in its own way. But like double Lancer, double Despoiler with a Tyrant.
Yeah.
Ooh,
very strong. Very fast. Very feel no pain. The galore, lethal or sustain on everything is just awesome.
Awesome is certainly the word the person playing it would use. I've been shot by the sustain by that. Not awesome on the receiving end.
It's a lot of fun to pull up the Tyrant and just go, here's my shooting phase. Let me just go down the list.
Yeah.
There you go. That thing has that many guns. Like, yep.
It's almost inevitable. About halfway through the data sheet, they're always like, okay, what's shooting me now? It's like, no, it's still the same model. They're like, oh.
Oh my god, more guns than you think.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for all that. Kind of moving it forward, and Dustin, I knew you were the right call to do last, because you led us right into the next question. And we'll start with you for that. What are some of kind of the favorable either like missions that you want to play, or even the layout you want to play on? I know we're going into 11th, but in 11th you can pick asymmetric missions when you build your list, and there will still be 3 different competitive layouts as far as we know. So like, what are some of the things that you look for at a table or at a mission pack to take advantage of or to avoid? Yeah,
so this is like probably the most important part of picking your list for an event is the mission pack. And teams, it depends on what detachment I'm playing. Let's say I'm playing Inferno Lance. I love layout 7 and 8. It's very easy to go turn 1 surge, get the extra 3 inches of movement, go touch those middle runes, and be able to kill everything in your opponent's deployment zone with the triple Despoiler list. And it's like one of my favorite things to do to people for some reason.
Can you hear the smile on his face when he said enemy's deployment zone? Like, I could hear the joy.
like, oh, like, because you warned me, like, if I go first, I can just surge and I can get here and I can see this angle. And they're like, well, hopefully you don't go first. And you're like, well, I won't go in. But Purge is also a very good mission for that kind of list. And then if you're playing like Compact, you want to play something where primary like matters. So like take and hold, hidden supply, stuff like that, where you want to just push the action in the middle and just try to outlast your opponent.
All right, so very primary focused, and any kind of layout where you can exert your pressure.
Yep, that is correct.
All right, Caesar, how about you? And on the night episode, you say you kind of go for more balanced games, as you mentioned, for content. So what are some things maybe you look for, like for people who want to set up games at home with their friends, and that they can have a good time, but also their friends can. They're not getting hypothetically turn one killed in their deployment zone by 3 despoilers, just to pull something out of the air.
Yeah, Dustin did a great job covering the important parts. I have very little to nothing to add to that because that's on point. I think to answer your question, unless, man, and even then, even if you're running a bunch of war dogs, you don't want any of the deployments that go lengthwise down the table. You want to keep it to deployments on short ends because it gives your opponent most, if not all, of the layouts cater to deploying on the short edge versus the long edge. And you'll see that when you deploy, and it's doubled against knights because of the towering rule. So much to like what Justin said, we can get a lot of sneaky line of sight because we're so big. We can go through walls, we can tow on terrain features and see through them. And when you're deployed lengthwise, a lot of the cover that's provided by the structures is limited, especially if you're bringing a larger list as well, like a horde army or vehicle heavy. And so I think you want to try to avoid those just to make the game a little fair. And it also opens up the door to move blocking as well when you're deploying on short edges. If you're on the long edge, you got to bring some serious amount of trash to be able to try to move block the entire length of the field to stop a knight of getting where it needs to go. So yeah, that's as far as preferences. Other than that, I really enjoy all of them. There are some that obviously cater to having a lane of fire down the center. What is it? I think it's 2 and 6, is it? That I think have that giant shooting lane down the middle. Those are probably the ones that are a little least fun because you just plop your big gunship knight on your expansion and it just shoots down the field the whole game. But hey, that might work for someone too. Like, I just play them all. And make the most of it and kind of learn new things I can do based on the list. But going back to what we talked about earlier too, and Dustin kind of hit it on, you play differently whether you're running 5 bigs, 3 bigs, and some armigers, or just all war dogs. And so because of that, I think that there's multiple layers to what works and what doesn't work based on your strategy.
Are there any like particular missions or mission objectives that you find more favorable or detrimental to your game plan?
I mean, we like playing the primary game. I think Linchpin and Take and Hold cater to us the best because we have 10 OC bodies, 6 OC bodies that can bully primary quite well. But there is, I guess, a testament to Purge the Foe because it's hard for people to get kill more on us, and it's easier for us to get kill more, and we already are good at primary. So kill more is probably a stronger one for us as well. Supply drop can go either way. Again, with our massive OC, it's a little easier for us to take the final 15-point objective, but it can also flip it based on who's going second. So I think those are probably the 3. It'd be Linchpin, Take and Hold, and Purge the Foe. Hidden Supply with extra center objectives, I think it can kind of be skewed towards our opponent as well because it's easier for them to hold 3. So yeah, that's my final answer.
Well, no, that's a great answer. Thank you for that. And anime with your Lords of Dread and current I can't remember the name of it now. The cultist list. What do you look for?
I kind of go to honestly the same thing. Like they said, it's you have 10 OC, or in Lords of Dread you have 10+2, and you can just sit on something and then, oh look, it's sticky, now I can move off of it. And oh, you're gonna drop something behind. Well, I'm still touching this building, so I can easily like take one of my despoiler guns, and now you're like 5-man, whatever you brought in is dead, and then I shoot the other guns in the other direction. So it's like the take a hold linchpin, and especially against horde armies, which are I seem to play a lot of at events I go to, like Tyranids and stuff like that. It's really, Purge the Foe is really good because I got 5 models. If you're beating me on Purge the Foe, then the game's over.
I'm suddenly realizing that a lot of my friends in practice group play knights, and my hatred of Purge the Foe has only been exacerbated by this fact.
It sounds like a you issue.
Very educational for me.
And how many times have you lost on Purge the Foe?
3.
Out of how many games?
Don't worry about it.
I almost gave him a 4th. I was this close, like really close, and then last round I fumbled the ball and moved off of an objective and didn't cleanse it and caused myself to lose. But I almost got him his 4th.
Classic blunder.
Yep.
No, it was a very good game. I still only won by 1 point, so it was very good, very well played. But thank you, gentlemen, for that. We are going to take a quick break to hear from one of our very nice sponsors. And when we get back, we'll go into some, particularly interesting rules or hobby aspects, or maybe even dip our toes in some lore if you gentlemen would like. And then continue on with, pros of the factions, and maybe cautionary words of advice. And, if you're feeling a little spicy, maybe kind of a little bit of forecasting of what we know about 11th. Just from the GW Warcoms. But stick with us, everyone, and we will be back in a few minutes.
Now with a word from our sponsor, Baron of Dice. Baron of Dice is your one-stop shop for premium wargaming dice. Our dice are made with premium resin materials and colored dyes. Each die is hand-mixed to the desired result and then carefully swirled with 2, 3, or 4 colors in a silicone mold before being laser engraved with a wicked symbol and finished in a matte or gloss polish. There are no imperfections in our dice, no balancing issues, no micro bubbles or mold lines. This is the difference between. You can, quite literally, feel and hear a difference with our dice. Whatever game you play, whatever style your team or faction rocks, we're sure to have something to elevate your game. With over 500 styles and over 4,000 customer reviews, welcome to the best dice on the planet. Now back to our show.
All right, that was fantastic. Be sure to check them out and let them know Onslaught sent you. Getting right back into the chaos goodness. Before we go a little too much further, are there any? I know we kind of brought up a kind of lightly touched on a couple, but we'll start with Anime Squirrel. You seem good to start with. Any specific rules, lore, or hobbying lessons learned or advice you would give for Chaos Knights? And it can again be as shallow or as deep as you'd like.
My number one piece of advice I tell anyone who is interested in the faction, the question always comes up is, what weapons should I pick? Which one's the best loadout? Which chassis is the best? And my answer is always magnets. The knight models they're almost built for magnets. The magnets just adhere and fit so well. And you don't even need, like, some people go as far as to like magnetize like the waist, and they'll magnetize armor pads, and so you can get pretty crazy with it. But I always say, just at the very least, the arms at the elbow. You cut that little twisty nib off. You stick a magnet in the hole. You fill it with glue. You make sure your polarities are the same across all your models, and you can't go wrong with it. That way, you always have the knight you need. You never have to worry about it.
Any particular rules you'd like to point out, highlight?
Rules.
It doesn't have to be. I'm just anything you think that people should know.
Well, being a Sarasis Knight Lancer fanboy, being able to run 14 to 17 plus inches and then just tank shock for free in somebody's face and then hit them with the lance is so fun. Just be like, go in. I'm like, I charged in, and then I just yell tank shock as loud as I can and roll 11 dice and see what happens.
Are you going to be doing that in 11th?
We will see. Probably until I get punished too much. We'll see. Depends on getting punished. My other favorite rule is just being able to Kool-Aid man through walls. I don't respect that D6 roll, even when it comes to bite me, and I don't respect it. It's like rolling a single hazardous roll. I'm gonna do it. It benefits me to get through this wall. It hurts you if I get through this wall. I'm gonna do it.
That's my hot take. Is for tank shock. I've seen a bunch of people talk about it. For those of you who don't know, it's on one of the GW releases. I think it's like called Crushing Impact or something now for 11th. But it's basically just going to be a hazardous all over again. Because if you're a character, monster, or vehicle who fails a hazardous roll, you take 3 damage automatically. If you tank shock, like at T11, you're looking at 2, maybe 3 mortals if you're really unlucky. And you're still probably doing 4 to 5 to your opponent. So being someone who runs a monster heavy faction, I don't foresee it being a thing that you're not going to do.
We'll see how the numbers run. I'm definitely going to be testing it the hard way.
I'm gonna pass over to Caesar because his face is giving me a lot of his opinions on what I just said.
My tank shocks average 2 wounds, so where you're getting 5, like, hey man, I'm more power to you, bro. And your Norns have the 4+ feel no pain.
I have never tank shocked once all edition, if you can believe it. But
next edition,
strong maybe. And yes, the Norns having the feel no pain is actually kind of interesting. But sticking to Chaos Knights, same question to you, sir. Now you do like you said, you do a lot of content, you do a lot of hobbying, make things very presentable, and like you said, you had to the best way to learn the faction was to play it. So, are there any kind of lessons you've learned along the way, or interesting, rules or tech, as it were, that might be worth just highlighting?
So, piggybacking off of what Anime Squirrel led into, tight, super heavy walker is what allows us to plow through buildings. And of note, it is only in the movement phase when you're doing a fallback or advance or move. So you can't do it in the charge phase. Titanic character allows our bigs to perform an action and still shoot, but not charge. So keep that in mind.
And that is, sorry, real quick, that is a big part of why the spoilers are especially good, because they lose 0 efficiency for doing that.
Yep, exactly. And they can start an action even in engagement range, but they do have to control the point. So for example, if you're cleansing or establishing locus and you're on the objective, as long as you control the objective, or at least control the objective at the end of the turn, then the action will go off. And then Walker, what am I missing? Walker, for both our War Dogs and our Big Knights, allows us to heroically intervene with them.
Yep.
Right, Dustin?
That is correct.
Yep. And I feel like I'm missing one more out of that series of keywords, but maybe I'm not.
We did touch on it, but I believe towering is the one that you...
Towering, thank you. That's right. Towering, I knew there was one I was missing. And then towering is what allows us to see through buildings and terrain features as long as our part of our base is on that terrain template, which in 11th will be the entire objective. So keep that in mind. So that's that part. And then the second part is the army rule. The army rule can be very polarized because it's going to do nothing until it does everything. And so keep that in mind when you get into the faction, that it is one of the interesting rules where it gets stronger the later the game goes. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, because you want your rules to activate at the beginning of the game when you have the majority of your army. And later on, that means that less of your army is going to be affected by it. But luckily, it's more affecting our opponent. And so it's going to make your game, it's going to make their game worse the longer the game goes on. Why? Because we have different auras that all affect our opponent. They make us harder to shoot. They make them easier to wound. They lose their OC, things like that. And so it's going to feel like my armory roll does nothing. Why am I doing it? This and that. But you'll see turn 3, when you're able to either pick or roll 2 again, you're kind of able to shore up those deficiencies. And really, honestly, when you have the big ones for me is, and I still rarely pick them. I know typically my rule of thumb is to roll the 2 on turn 1, and then I'm 50-50 on rolling on turn 3, unless there's one that I really think will pop off, and then I'll pick that one. And then by the time you get to turn 5, like most of the time you're just picking the one you're missing. But the stealth darkness is great against a gunline army, where if they're outside of 18 inches or battle shock, you're -1 to hit. Awesome, chef's kiss. But the 2 that I really like is the additional -1 leadership. So now they're at -2 leadership, which is enough to consistently cause failures at that point. You'd be surprised. And they are forced to make a battle shock if they're not at starting strength. Because what that does is it's going to increase the times they have to make a battle shock, and it's going to, or leadership check, and it's going to increase their chances of failing. And that is when you're really starting to see advantages of where you're going to steal objectives, and you're going to prevent them from activating the stratagems that they were planning on using to kill your knights, right? The +1 to wound, the reroll charges, the AOC to survive, all those things get taken off the board, and you're mitigating the combat effectiveness of their units. And so again, it's one of those things, because you're gonna be upset. You're like, oh, I need you to fail your battle shock, and you don't. And you're like, this rule did nothing. But then there's gonna be other times where like they're gonna fail, and you just denied them 10 points on primary, and their kill team can't reactive move away from you anymore. And that's where like you're like, this feels awesome. But I'll leave it at that, because I feel like I went on a bit of a rant. So I will send it over to you, Dustin. Wait.
But before we do that, real quick, first of all, I cannot relate to having an all or nothing battle shock army roll. Couldn't imagine. Secondly, I will 2 things. One, with because the -1 to hit aura is the stealth keyword, correct? It's not a -1 to hit; it is called stealth. Outside of 18 inches,
it's -1 to hit. It's not stealth.
Perfect. So that actually is really optimistic for those of you who play Cast Knights going into 11th, because cover is no longer an armor save. Cover is going to, or benefit of cover, I should say, is going to -1 ballistic skill. So outside of it, and because knights are vehicles, they cannot get the new hidden mechanic. Vehicles are excluded from that, but they still can get benefit of cover so far as we know. So turn 1, even against a gunline army that, you know, if they're not fast, like Mont Tau, for example, like if it's Votan or Admech or something, they are effectively -2 to hit you, because they're -1 to hit from the army rule, and then -1 ballistic skill for the benefit of cover. So that is just kind of something like looking forward as of right now. Again, the full rules aren't out yet, but as we understand them, and they've been released, that is kind of a, as Caesar mentioned, a bit of a durability boost for you. Because even like Space Marines, going from hitting on 3s to hitting on 5s is a heck of a difference. I just wanted to highlight that real quick. But yes, Dustin, over to you, sir. Same question, for any, rules you'd like to highlight, any lore, any hobbying, advice or anything you got, feel free to share.
Yeah, like Anime said, magnetize is like one of the biggest things you can do for this army. Be able to play whatever chassis you want to play when you can. And, if y'all, Caesar did a great job talking about all the army rules and everything else. So I have nothing to add on that part. And then, like you said, Regal, for coming in for 11th, also, CK is going to really get a boost in the new battle shock mechanic as well. With now things having to take new battle shocks every turn. So, like, the very first time you shoot something, or if you're within 9 of something, you have to take a battle shock, and it stays battle shock for the rest of the game. That's going to be huge. So, yep. Stocks are going up for CK, I think.
Massive.
And for Tyranids, that I don't like it as much myself, because a lot of our bonuses to battle shocks come specifically from shadows and having units in range, whereas the Knights is just an always on aura affecting you. So those repeated tests are still taking at the -1, -2. And if you're already battle shocked, you cannot spend insane bravery because you cannot use a stratagem on that unit. So I very much agree that the Chaos Knight kind of battle shock dependency stocks unironically do, like, even leadership 6 armors are taking 8s, by turn 3 if you pick them, like Caesar said, and that is, now you're failing more than half the time, and that's when the plan starts to go sideways.
I do have one question for Dustin to touch on the fact that you've been running 5 bigs in Infernal. How often do you take the 5-up invul in combat versus using the Feel No Pain when you're using your Surge for defensive purposes versus offensive?
So usually that's going to be if something has like more than AP3 on their got on their melee profile, right? So like at that case, like let's say you're going into the lion comes down outside of 9, he charges you, he comes in AP4. Instead of being dabbed, you can then do your 5-up invul. And then if that's not the case, you always do the 6-up Feel No Pain, because you have in Inferno you have the 4-up, you have Rotate Iron Shield in Inferno. So you have a 4-up invulve in shooting, so you get a 5-up invulve in melee, which is like just very good against AP3 armies, and then you have a 6-up Feel No Pain when if one of those cases don't matter.
Excellent, thank you. I appreciate it.
Question that I will ask, 'cause I've seen asked a lot, both in communities and from people who want to start it. This is open to any of you, and if you all have different answers, that's even better for more options. But a very common question is, these are bigger, some of the biggest models in the game. What would your recommendations or advice for travel be? Like if they're going to a local RTT and they don't want them, jiggling around the car, bumping into each other, falling over. What are kind of some tricks or travel methods you guys use to keep your models safe?
Magnets under the bases, and then a piece of metal. Like I'm really cheap right now, so I'm using a steel baking sheet. But you could do like a piece of sheet steel in a box if you want to. But yeah, for me, magnets under the bases really help keep them stable.
So to piggyback off that, Regal, that was one of my biggest issues with this faction, is that because if you're getting on a plane, how are you going to bring your 5 models with you? And I found if you magnetize the bottom half and the top half of the knight, you'll be able to easily transport in like a Pelican gun case, or even like the red toolbox that you see a lot. Those things are great. You can easily fit 5 up there, put in the carry-on section, or the Pelican gun case that I use now with foam is a great way to carry them on a plane, get them across, wherever you want to go.
I had actually never heard of that method before, so I'm learning stuff. That is all, because I have big Tyranid monsties that give some knight models a run for their money, so that's good to know.
Yeah, the red toolbox is very popular in the community when you're running 5 bigs. It's a little more cumbersome when you're running a bunch of war dogs, but it still fits it. I'm on the same boat. I also magnetize my torsos so I could break them in half, and I just use the standard Junko or whatever carrying case, the plastic one you can get on Amazon with the cookie sheets. I use that, and what I do is breaking them at the waist means I could put 2 bigs per row, and they're lower center of gravity, so they have a harder time tipping over. I will say one thing on that note when it comes to hobbying. I am one that I like, as I've progressed in the hobby, I like to make my knights feel a little more dynamic in their poses versus standing straight up and tall. Consider how you're going to pose them based on what you're going to use them for. If you're going to play competitive, try your best to keep things within the base if you can, because you're going to run into situations where the terrain is not going to be conducive to where you want to go. You're going to hit things. It's not going to fit. It's going to bang around. You can have a conversation with your opponent and be like, hey man, my Lancer's lance is sticking out 6 inches from the base. Like it's strictly cosmetic, and if they agree to it, then cool. And then, but vice versa, you're not going to draw a line of sight from the tip either. But also I've seen some awesome poses where the knight is standing on like one leg and the other one looks like it's cocked, like it's running, but now it's very front heavy or very top back heavy, and it has a chance of getting knocked over and falling. So keep that in mind as well, where you may have to do additional weighting or other stuff to consider that as well.
Artists suffering for their work. But I will say some of the dynamic poses that you have, Anime Squirrel has a war dog that kind of posed in like a backwards Howl of Triumph. Looks really cool. I've seen other
that's neat. I like that.
Knight players. I'll have them posted on the Discord. I'll bully them, but so you guys can see it. But that's great advice, and that is a problem. I've also seen like playing Knight players where they're like, oh, it looks super cool, but I can't actually like go around a corner because the gun or spear or whatever doesn't clear. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. I have blast damage on my Lancer's shield, and so I pretty much play my Lancer backpedaling the entire game because he's leaning forward, hunkering behind his shield, and it just sticks out so far in front of it that it doesn't fit anywhere when I'm trying to get up against the wall. So he just plays the entire game backwards. He charges backwards. He posts up behind a wall backwards. That's just the way my Lancer plays all game.
Yeah, nothing a little hand waving warp shenanigans can't solve.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, gentlemen. Unless you guys have anything else, I have a couple more questions for you. The next one is everyone's favorite question, and that is starting with Mr. Dustin. And this is kind of, again, we'll go one by one, but the pros of Chaos Knights, both as a faction standing on its own, and the obvious comparison is, well, if I'm going to play Knights, why not play Imperial Knights? So anything that specifically might be a bigger draw here than on their Imperial, counterpart. Dustin, feel free.
Okay, so my opinion on CK is that they are probably better than IK overall as a general army. They do the skew list better with like the all small. The War Dog list is just better than the Armature list. The 5 bigs versus the IK 5 big. I think QC is probably better than Lords of Dread because of the advancement charge, fallback shoot charge. The new detachment that they got, the Hell Hunt, does have fallback shoot charge, which is a huge improvement, which probably makes them a better balanced army as well. If you're wanting to run 3 bigs and then 3 smalls, I think CK is the way to go in today's meta.
All right, fantastic. We'll push it over to Caesar. Any other anything you want to add to that as far as pros of the faction, either on their own or compared to Imperial?
There's all kinds of pros to it. The modeling you guys touched on earlier, the models just look great. They have all the extra spiky bits and the vultures and the skulls and the horns and the tails and the tentacles. Like, they're absolutely phenomenal for hobbying. They have the extra knee joint, so you can do even more posing with them. You have a larger variety across the board with Armature or with War Dogs, which is a huge advantage. Being an Imperial Knight player where I only really have 2, and if I want to kind of downplay a little bit, 3 Armatures that I could choose from, having a variety of War Dogs, their rules may be a little lackluster, I'll give you that. But I mean, Dustin touched on it. You have a lot of flexibility if you do War Dog spam. You have access to plenty of indirect, which do not shy away from that. I was not aware of how potent having a large amount of indirect can be on an opponent that's either squishy like Elves or Guard or GSC, those Horde armies that have a lot of trash that's 1 wound, or just the people that really rely on a little bit of cheap trash sitting somewhere to screen, where you're just able to pick that off. Going back into our army rule, right? When you have, hey, if you're not in starting strength, you need to make a battle shock test. That indirect can sit there, plink off a wound, and you're like, cool, that unit's gonna be making battle shocks for the rest of the game because you're on your expansion. I'm always gonna have a guy within 9 or even 12 inches of you. So the War Dog spam is legit and a great way to start into the faction because you have a lot of room for error as you learn. And it just kind of caters building into that. The starter boxes and Armature or War Dog spam. And then definitely understand your auras. Not only is it your army rule, but the Big Knight's auras is awesome because it's just an aura. So it's a little cumbersome sometimes when the aura doesn't match what you want your war dogs to be doing in comparison to the big knight. But the fact that it can hit a blanket of war dogs makes it very powerful and hard to keep track of for your opponent. For example, the Rampager lets you reroll ones. Like, that is huge for consistency. So be cognizant of that in your movement phase, in your charge phase, to make things happen, because it can do a lot. And definitely something you touched on earlier is just when you start stacking those auras both on your big knights as well as your army rule, it can really lead to compounding factors that don't seem great individually, but they can really stack up. And I think that kind of layering of stuff where some other armies are very point blank, like here's what I got. This, for being such a skewed vehicle list, has so much flexibility to them, and I think that's great. You could pick up war dogs, put them back down. You can shoot war dogs, fight on death. The big knights have those auras that just spread, and like it's a twofold. Like, not only is the big knight intimidating on its own, but the aura it spreads is dangerous as well. There's a lot. And then touching into those demons, right? You can be a knight army and they hurt the knight's durability, but if you want, you can bring a great unclean one or a Rotigus, and now you're like, look, that guy's T12. Good luck with a Feel No Pain. And so you have that hobby side of it, or aesthetic, where you can build your own theme. If all your knights are Corn Knights, they're all red and gold and they're out for blood, well, you can bring bloodthirsters, you can bring bloodletters. Like, it gives you a lot of flavor to add to your army one way or another. And I've seen that. I mean, there was one knight player that I played in a team event a couple of months ago where all his knights were huge. I mean huge, because he had one with like a demon warp gate on top of it. Another one had oops, I think I just turned on my autofocus or something like that. Okay, got there.
It was getting intense. It was doing,
that was cool. That was effective.
Yeah, I don't even know how I did that. How did I have to?
It was whenever you did this on your head. I don't know.
Come on. Yeah, it does that sometimes when I'm filming battle reports too, and I switch to a camera. It's like pointed at someone instead of the field. Anywho, yeah, he had another one that had like a giant, like a hangman on top of it with a body hanging from it. It was really neat. Like, all his bases were absolutely amazing. A couple of them grossed me out. Like, I couldn't look at them. They were so well done. But yeah, I think both on the table, list customization and flavor, there's a lot to be had by Chaos Knights.
Yep, I agree completely. I have something I want to mention, but we'll give Anime Squirrel, because I don't want to steal any thunder from him if he mentions it. So yeah, do you have any same question, any rules that you think of a particular interest or lore, or any hobbying, notes for those interested in starting or beginning the faction?
It's a lot of play what you like. I always start with playing what you like. You like the model, you play the model, and that's the thing. One of the cool things with Chaos Knights is everything they said, right? Like the aesthetic and everything, and the flexibility. But like 40K is a game where everybody's basically the bad guy, right? And some people pretend not to be the bad guy, and some factions really lean into it. And I think Chaos Knights really lean into it. They've got the spikes, and they're just dripping with edge. Like, these things are edgier than a mall ninja.
They really are edgy.
You even with like the names, right? Like we've said a few of them. We've got like the Tyrant and the Abominant and the Ruinator, and our war dogs are called Executioner and Huntsman and the Stalker and the Carnivore with a K. Like, it's like you just look at this faction and be like, those guys are definitely the bad guys. I want to play them.
Yep. I do have two questions and this is a general question for any of you gentlemen. The first one is, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Carnivore's rule is if it completes a charge, it gets 4 rolls to hit melee, right? Or am I misattributing that? What is the Carnivore's rule?
I have
reroll advances and charge rolls.
It's not that.
Yeah, it's not that good.
It's not that good.
No, they unfortunately, when the Codex came out, the Carnivore and the Brigand which was the dedicated melee and dedicated shooting, went from hitting on 2s to hitting on 3s. And then they gave the carnivore sustained hits, which is supposed to be mathematically better, right? Because you can strike. But we're not going to talk about that.
And then he has reroll advancing charges.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is still nice.
And then my next question is, we talked about the battle shock thing and the combination of rules. Is there any consideration in you gentlemen's mind for blue horrors being allied in with like a Tzeentch lone op, like the blue scribes, because they infiltrate and have their own 6-inch aura of -1 leadership? Or do you think that is going too far down a rabbit hole?
It's probably too expensive.
Yeah.
It's probably like 250 points or maybe like 210 points for that.
I think it's like 190. I think the blue scribes are around 90, and blue horror is like 100 to 115 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you
could
just
are the expensive ones.
You could just take a war dog of your choice instead.
Yeah.
No, fair. I just thought it was because we talked about the battle shocks and them staying, and then the minuses. I was figuring it. One, it infiltrates, and then you get a loan op. Like, it's expensive, but you get a loan op out of it. So I was just wondering.
I mean,
I like where your head's at. I like where your head's at.
It's not a bad option.
And again, we don't know the full rule set, so this is kind of a bit of a baited question. But it's as we were talking, I'm like, because I played the last episode we did was demons, and gentleman on there named Clay had them in his Nurgle list specifically for midfield controlled infiltrate, and then stacking on the Plague Legion's battle shock mechanic it tries to spam out.
I've played against that list. It's really fun going, you take a battle shock. No, you take a battle shock. No, you take a battle shock.
Yeah.
And then you just shoot the despoiler into the blue horrors and they die.
Like, I don't think it's bad. Like I said, it's only 200 points for that package, and I think with like the new Hell Hunt, you have the Abominate with its enhancement that gives the aura of battle shock when you shoot something. So it could be turn 1, making everything within those 6 inches of horrors take battle shock to -1 and stay battle shock for the rest of the game. Pretty good.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, no, you were correct. It is 210. It is 125 for the blue horrors, and then 75 for the blue scribes for them all together.
The 200. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the two cheapest allies I think we can bring is Nurglings at 40 points, and then I think it's Slippity Boppity Boop or something like that. Is the one?
Like
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think are the two. And then before the Codex, which obviously it's not Battleline, so I think you can't really do it now, is the Changeling. I came across a couple of CK players that were running Changelings, and I forgot what the rules were for it, but it had some play as well. But it's not Battleline, so. Plus, I like the model. I think the Changeling looks super cool.
He has the trolliest rule in the game where if you when you select him to shoot on a 6, not only can you not shoot him, you lose your activation to shooting.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And it's not even one gun. It's like if a Rep X points one gun, all 13 guns don't get to activate. It's the only rule in the game like it. It's hilarious.
Then he also has if other units try to target him, they have to take battle shocks.
Yep, that's.
And if they fail it, they still can't shoot him.
Yep. But that part they can target, but specifically on the 6, they just lose it.
As a purist, if I do take demon allies, my favorite is Bloodletters with Scarbrand.
The secret 5th Knight.
the secret 5th Knight
with a 4-up.
With a 4-up, especially because he's as tough as a knight with a good invul in melee. You know, you can deep strike him in, you keep him off the board, he's a threat. It's like all of a sudden there's a knight that can get into your backfield. And he's got a smaller footprint than a knight. And he'll come in and he'll advance and charge and he'll hit like a truck. And it's a fun take.
Yeah, and he gets better as he gets more wounded.
Yes.
He reverts brackets, which is yeah. So that was just a quick thought experiment I wanted to run by you, gentlemen.
I will say this: if you are starting in the faction, regardless of whether you're a purist or not, I think you should have at least one unit of Nurglings, which is the 3 models. The only reason being is that they're 40 points. So as you get into a faction like this, where our points are very difficult to play with because all our models are expensive. There's going to be times where the enhancements don't quite add up to what you want them to be. And just having that 40 points that you can kind of squeeze in there to get you closer to 2,000 will come up sometimes based on that between your bigs and your choice of enhancements. So having that to either run forward to protect your despoiler from a charge or to keep in the backfield to screen out a deep strike can come in handy from time to time.
Yep.
And I do apologize. Anime, I asked you the wrong question, and you didn't correct me. So you're also to blame.
Oh.
Do you have any pros of the faction? Things that stand out to you that you would like to share or highlight?
See, I thought that's what you meant, so that's what I went off of. Just the dripping with edge. It's
perfect.
It's not a big attraction.
Yep. Nope. At very beginning video, I did say that the aesthetic was a big thing. So great answer and great catch. See, one of us has got to be on track, and it's not going to be me.
Like I just running off a slight rabbit hole. I do have war dogs. I like building war dogs. They're real fun to build. All the knights, the Chaos Knight kits, because they're newer, they're just really, really nice to build. But one thing I like with the war dogs is they have, I think, 4 different head options. You got like 2 faces, and then like the bird skull, and then the wolf skull. I build all mine with the wolf skulls because I think that's cooler.
I have seen some third-party conversions of war dogs where the skulls are a dedication to like a patron god, Slanesh, Nurgle, Zinch, Korn, and some of the conversions some night players do to take away from what Caesar was saying. They are just gorgeous. You go on the Chaos Knight subreddit or like any Warhammer 40K like a artist Instagram or something. Chaos Knights are always fantastic. Then that is another pro of the faction that as an opponent of the army, I enjoy, like not playing it. Every model's a centerpiece model. Like even the war dogs are bigger than like my Hive Tyrant and Swarm Lord. Like they all are just, they catch your eye. So any extra, like Caesar said, if you guys haven't checked out his channel or seen some of his models, his Lancer he mentioned with the blast shields, it looks super cinematic and awesome, both just sitting there and like in the middle of a battle. So
now I want to take one of your winged Hive Tyrants, chop off the wings, and then slap them on a carnivore with the wings going straight up.
Oh, that would be cool.
If I might have a pair for my Swarm Lord, because I don't magnetize anything because I was dumb 2 years ago. If I have them, I'll send them to you. You can absolutely do that.
Okay, yeah, I'm so down. I have 11 dogs right now, so I need 2 more. Yeah, that'll put me at 13, which I think is the max you can take. So yeah, I definitely have room for 1 more.
Yeah, no, that would look sick. But
I've been seeing people not invert chassis, but basically take the top half of it and use that as like a full torso, and like take the arms and make them back legs and the legs into front legs, and like actually have like a wolf kind of thing.
Got you. Yep. I've seen some kit bashes with the Mauler Fiend that make it look really good as well. That's really neat as well. Yeah.
Yep. So going from there, we've spent the better part of an hour talking about how awesome and how fun this faction is. But there are, like all factions, weaknesses and, pitfalls to kind of look out for. Mr. Dustin, would you have any words of caution or some hard-learned lessons for, again, anyone that is either starting the faction or maybe kind of looking to Chaos Knights to get into it? Some just advice you'd give them going in.
So I think Caesar really touched on this about starting this army. It's much better to start with the all small dog version, just because that if you make any mistakes, it's very less noticeable. If you're playing the all bigs, the 5 bigs, once you lose a big, like you lost 20% of your army, and that's huge. And a lot of armies right now are all anti-tank. They're very good into top-heavy vehicles, and it's very rough out there in a land versus the filers to be playing 5 bigs. And I would just recommend playing Hound Pack right now, using those carnivores to go kill defilers, and then pushing up from there. And don't worry about, especially if you're starting out, you're like, this army is very hard to play.
Yep. Nope. Fantastic. And great insight. That is something that, people can get kind of galvanized playing against. Like Caesar said, he doesn't always run down, kick your door in, and take your stuff. But when he does, it feels good. But the kind of point to that is there are some games by the nature of how they are with knights, you're so skewed out of it, you're left wondering, what could I have done? So, but the opposite's true too, where you lose a knight and then a fifth of your firepower, screening, scoring is gone, and you're like, oh, I have 80% of an army, and it's like bottom of one, and they still got 4 more turns.
To one caveat to that, if you're playing casually with your friends, don't do that. Like, just don't. You want to keep playing with them. You want them to have fun. So even if you can, take the road less traveled and try to have a more tactical game to up your game that way, because it lets them play as well. It gives replayability. Now, if you're the friend group where it's like, hey man, you rocked me turn 2, game's over, let's recock, play again, then cool, right on. Like, I don't mind getting crushed, and I help learn, but be cognizant of that when you're playing casually with your friends. All right.
No, that is, like you were saying, be cognizant of the faction you're playing and how overwhelming it can be. I know wonderful advice, and that I'm not going to take credit for. Caesar told me a while ago is, or actually, no, he didn't. Sorry, we're not friends. Like we're friends, but it was actually on a video of his. If you go watch his channel, where he said if you're going to play a pickup game, let your opponent know, hey, I might be bringing knights. Like what do you have? Because if you show up with 4 big knights, they bring their like 80 orc bodies and like 6 trucks and some storm boys. One of you is going to have a great time, and the other one you might not. So yeah, for casual, coordinate at tournaments. Obviously, everyone's there playing for their own reasons, to win, to get better, to get best painted, your best sportsman. But yes, if you're playing friendly games, do the friendly thing and try to line it up as best you can. Don't blindside people. Would you have any other advice, Caesar, for the people? For kind of some pitfalls, some traps, maybe gold might be a little bit shinier than it actually is on the outside.
I will say master the movement phase. Master the movement phase, because that is where you are going to make your money. Against any proficient opponent, knowing that you are all vehicles, they will be able to move block you and make sure that even if they can't kill you, they will make sure you cannot go where you want to go. To counteract that, do your best to pre-measure, to understand your rules as far as going through a wall, what you can charge, have a conversation with your opponent so you're both on the up and up on what's going on, and it leaves to or prevents a lot of awkward situations. So really capitalize on that, because you can parking lot yourself, you can roadblock yourself, and you may be in certain situations where like, oh, I thought that was a 6-inch charge, but it's really an 8 because I have to pivot to get to where I need to go. So that is a big pitfall of the faction where, your movement, we have large bases, it's easy to screen us. So be aware of that, be very cognizant of that. Try to understand your order of movement. If you think one of your knights is going to move block the other, make sure you're moving the correct one first, because not every opponent is going to let you take that back. And we cannot overwatch with our big knights, so be mindful of that. And there's one other pitfall with knights that I'm drawing a blank on right now, but I'm sure it would come to me, or it wasn't that important. So I think those are the things really is the and the shell shock to what Dustin touched on. If you lose a big knight early, it's gonna hurt. There's no way it doesn't hurt, because you're losing a huge chunk of your army, minimum 20%, based on points alone. Just persevere, realize that you're gonna be shell shocked for a minute, and drive on and try to make the most of it from that, because those are the games where you're gonna improve as a player.
Yep. Anime, do you have any wisdom gleaned from your competitive experience and trying out?
Yeah, for better for worse, knights, both sides can be a sort of a feels bad army, in that, you know, sometimes you make your opponent feel bad because you just show up with, you know, 14 war dogs or 5 big knights, and you just steamroll them, and like turn 2, the game's over, and they feel bad. Or the opposite can happen, where you make a pivotal mistake and you only have so many models, and then you lose 20-30% of your army instantly, and now you feel bad because you can see the writing on the wall. It's just going to start crumbling. So you have to like hedge your expectations, know like the weaknesses of your play style, and like how to play around that, and how to be a gracious winner or an even more gracious loser when it all falls apart.
Yep. No, fantastic advice for any faction, but especially one as skewed as knights in either direction. Absolutely. One thing I will touch on that to be aware of, we mentioned the Imperial Knight video, and was kind of touched on with rotated ion shields. Barring Cerastus chassis, you are completely at the mercy of your armor save and melee. Your invuln is, as far as I know, other than the Lancer, and I guess the Atropos, if you want to take one, reserved for shooting only, and even then it is only a 5-up.
Yep.
So while you do have an invuln, it is kind of the bargain bin invuln of 40k. It's not the vaunted 4-up. It is just a 5-up against shooting only. So, and like Dustin was saying, you know, he playing Infernal Lance, that is the one way to get an invuln in melee if they have the AP to threaten you. And the flip side of what I mentioned earlier, with cover going to -1 ballistic skill, it is no longer buffering your 3-up save, as I believe every knight except the big ones are 3-up. Are they all 3-up saves?
They're all 3-up now.
They're all 3s.
So yeah, going into 11. Sorry.
You can sometimes take an enhancement to make the to give a big knight +1 to the save, effectively a 2+ save. But I think it's only an enhancement, and I don't even remember which detachment.
I think it's Lords of Dread, and I think it's you get a +1 to your armor save against damage 1.
Oh.
That's where you want it.
No,
Yeah.
No.
it is in Lords of Dread, and it's Future Carapace. It actually is a 2-up save. And then,
So, but sorry. Go ahead, Caesar.
I do have a question, so I'll let you finish your statement before.
Yeah.
I just
I
have a
was
question.
gonna say it's not necessarily effective now, but within about a month or so, the AP effectively every army for shooting is getting +1 AP because cover is no longer protecting or padding, I should say, armor saves game wide. And this is also relevant for Imperial Knights as well, where that 3-up armor save going to a 2-up with cover will no longer be in effect for the most part. And there might be some other rules, there might be some detachments, there might be some shenanigans that can happen, but by and large, you are at the mercy of your 3-ups and 5-ups, and in melee, you're at the mercy of your opponent's AP. Again, we go into much more detail in the Imperial Knight episode, but that is just as true for this faction as it is for them. But that's all I had to add, just to put a note on.
I actually think that cover is going to be more beneficial to knights in 11th, because the things that people want to shoot into knights have enough AP where it's not difficult to put us on our invul, versus being -1 to hit means they could just straight up whiff on a shot altogether. So I think that's actually going to be more beneficial for knights, because we're not tanks. We don't have a 2-up save. We have a 3-up save. And I mean, I miss more armor saves than I miss my invul, to be honest with you. You send 10 bolter shots at me, I'm going to fail like 3 of them. So, but I don't know. That could be up to debate. That's just my initial impression of it, where if they're firing 2 las cannon shots at me, well, now you have a chance of missing one altogether versus AP3 going to AP2.
Yeah, no, I was thinking more along the lines of like +1 AP or Repulsor Executioner.
Yeah.
Whereas now that plus the 1 AP, you're still saving on 3s, whereas now it's just elite 4s, and so it's again, I agree, largely being effectively -2 if you get the -1 to hit aura plus cover, which is also going to be the same as stealth, which is why I clarified it if it was or wasn't stealth specifically, but a -1 to hit outside of 18. Being -2 on the die roll and the ballistic skill is a better defensive buff than just -1 AP from cover. But unless you gentlemen have anything else, I believe we have done a very comprehensive cover of this faction. Done it justice. Oh, absolutely.
Dude, yeah. And I'll send this one over to Anime first, but obviously, Dustin, you can chime in as well because it's kind of geared towards you. I'm lazy or mid-table bully or however, so I always screen out my backfield with trash. Or if I have a tyrant, then I kind of give it to him. But like, yeah, you can put guys in that corner right there if you want with my tyrant sitting there. But running mostly bigs, what is your kind of methodology or tactics when you know your opponent has deep strikes in reserves they're planning on coming down aggressively on turns 2 and 3? What's your game plan there with less models? Like, how do you normally approach that problem, if it even is a problem?
I try to make sure I'm in position to where I can use the towering rule to look over the buildings behind me. So I'm like forward a little bit in like the shooting lanes with like the despoiler or the atropos, and then like touching the terrain to where I can see through it and catch most of that backfield. So if they drop something in, there's like, okay, you're going to get this because there's not much I can do about it with the way I play. And then that's going to be gone and you don't have to worry about it for very long. The indirect stuff. So you've got like the indirect missiles on like some of the bigger stuff, or if you're running a lot of war dogs, you have all those indirect missiles. Like, sure, someone might be able to drop something behind, but then all your war dogs are going to aim their missiles back that way, and it's not going to be very much.
Nicely put, sir. You're a braver man than me. I go up against too many Terminators and Gene Stealers with 5-up invols where I'm like, I don't know if I could take out what you put behind me.
And sometimes the strategy is just, okay, you've got tough stuff that's going to drop back, so I'm just going to push so far into you that sure, you'll take something on my backfield, but I'm still holding everything in the middle and threatening your home. So is it worth dropping back there and taking that little bit when I'm still going to get everything I want anyway?
Slick. I like that. True chaos way.
Yeah.
Dustin?
Basically what Amber is saying is correct. You know, the same way we played, we talked about in the IK episode where, you know, if I'm not really worried about trying to screen anything unless they have OC6 coming out from deep strike, and then I'll leave something on my home. But most of the time, I'm just going to be by turn 2 and turn 5, I'm going to be in your face playing the game. So they're going to be, most likely, they're going to reserve behind in their deployment zone to try to heroic what I'm charging at or something like that in those kind of cases.
Roger that.
And that's why, Nurglings are a great screen, too, for your backfield. It's 40 points. Like, it's very easy to get five bigs and a thing in Nurglings for your backfield.
Yeah.
And a tyrant.
40 points with 4 wounds apiece and an invul.
And 3 bottles, three 40mm bottles, so you're taking almost 10 inches of space up with 9 inches, on every side. So
literally 16 wounds. Like, just think about that. It looks crazy. But yeah, that's just, it's a great 40 points. And usually I try to, especially if I'm playing CK, I always try to run a pack of Nurglings and then put them in the back there and then have my tyrant hold my home.
Yeah, you have to play them a little differently. It was something that I learned. Like, I took them initially, and then I was off of them because I'm like, OC sucks. OC0 sucks. They can't hold objectives. They can't do secondaries. And then I tried bringing them again and pushed them forward aggressively against Death Guard and against melee armies, and then against more flexible armies, left them in the backfield to screen. And I'm like, okay, I see the value in these guys. Because you could just run them out there and be like, cool, you're going to deep strike in your deployment zone because they're just going to keep moving forward unless you want to dedicate something to them.
You want to dedicate activation to them, right? And most people don't when you have Chaos Knights running at them. So they're just a great little unit. They're probably the best allies CK can get.
That feels bad again. It feels bad to shoot the Nurglings.
Yeah, you want to kill the Nurglings or the 3 Despoilers, Lancer, and Tyrant over there?
So I do have a question for you, Regal. Being on the other side of the coin and playing against Knights consistently, even though you despise it, which makes it one of your better matchups now because you force yourself to sharpen that steel. what do you see from the other side of the table that you're either like shaking your head, wiping your sweaty forehead, like, well, I guess this is it, or more so, what are they doing where you're like internally fist bumping and you're like, oh yeah, they slipped, I'm going to capitalize on this?
So I will say, and this is something I commented on Imperial Knights, where I think this is where I agree with Dustin that Chaos Knights do it better. The way I view it as an opponent of Knights, Imperial Knights are the balanced Knights. They're the Knights where even the Crusader can take a melee weapon, or like Canis Rex is shooting and melee. But Imperial Knights, or Chaos Knights, I mean, like the Rampagers is 2 melee weapons, and the Spoiler is 2 guns. And they are just all gas all the time. If I see an aggressive Chaos Knight player, like let's say, Dustin in Infernal Lance puts 3 Despoilers up to shoot me, or puts 3 Lancers that moved up in stage, and now they're going to all charge me the next turn. Terrified. I have no idea what I'm doing into that. And their suit, especially like Infernal Lance or Lords of Dread, they really encourage that sticky 5, get out and go, where here's plus 3 inches of movement that's not actually in advance, so you can still charge. So that's kind of where the fear is that like the braver you play Chaos Knights, not foolish, mind you, still use tactics, stage, look at sight lines, pre-measure, all the things that we've talked about before. But like if you can leverage your stats with, precise movement, threat assessment, angle, manipulation, it is terrifying to get hit first by a Chaos Knight army, and then having like 2/3 of your army, if you're lucky, left to respond to like 80% of theirs. And then the opposite direction is I love it when Chaos Knight players play cagey, because then I can exercise move blocks. I can, threaten, like you were saying, rapid ingresses or deep strikes. I can give them, other things to deal with other than just scoring their points, usually killing me and making it more annoying with either like big guns never tire by being in combat, or leveraging kind of tricks myself, even moving through a wall because your bases are so big. You could stop a knight moving through a wall by seeing where they need to land and just putting something like an inch closer to them than that, then the base just can't fit. And if they pivot or whatever, they'll be within an inch of you. So as an opponent, if you see a knight player constantly taking space, and like either because of how you deployed or even the army you're playing, you can't respond before they hit you, you are in a very risky situation. And vice versa, if they kind of play cagey because they see you have stuff that could hurt them, and they have the initiative, so they stay back, you can take up space again with tactics and some forethought, and kind of slow their game down. So even if they outlast you, they're so far behind on points that even if you're tabled, like I've been tabled on bottom of 4 before, my opponent's gotten an entire turn, but because of either their losses, as we talked about, it's usually hyper elite, or just because they were so far back for so long, they just can't make it up. So that's been my experience. I almost never outkill a Chaos Knight army. It just did, like you guys touched on with Purge the Foe, which is if you are outkilling a Chaos Knight army, then the points aren't going to matter. You're going to win. I don't. I have to exercise those skills and kind of I don't say lack of confidence, because that I'm not addressing any player in particular, but like lack of like battlefield confidence. So, but yeah, if you leverage your stats as they are, you can go quite far, even into like better lists. You can, because you can get your opponents to overexpose stuff and then punish them that way as well.
Yeah, the example you gave, no spoilers, but that instance did happen in the next battle report that's coming out. So that's going to be interesting to get your feedback on that one, actually. It was, again, no spoilers, but it was pretty nerve-wracking. So I do have a slight tangent, but it triggered a memory. Another tip with your big knights, if they have a melee profile, it's probably correct, I want to say 93% of the time, to precision out the character.
100% agree.
I don't know, Dustin, Anime, if you have different examples or different kind of methodology, but for me, war bosses, brood lords, Calgar, Arjak, 93% of the time, if it's not going to be vected or my knight or for whatever reason the character is just super durable, I'm almost always precisioning with my big knights to take out the character, even if I can't take out the unit.
Yeah, it's something because I tend to learn the hard way over and over and over. But yeah, anytime I fail to precision out the character, I pay for it.
Yep.
I mean, I also agree. Like Abaddon, Chaos Space Marine Captains, right? All those are literally, they do more damage than the unit itself. Like like Lord Exaltants, anything that you can precision out is usually the case. Like you're playing against Necrons, like going into the Philippine Techno Priest, also like very good as well that way.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. The Necron one's a good one too.
Now don't do it unless if they have the strat to res a character, you don't do it then. They
Funny, that's
the go back into the unit. Don't do it then, but any other time it is correct.
The example you gave, actually, one of the first games Anime played into Necron, it's like, man, this Wraith Perk, I just couldn't kill it. I'm like, did you precision the character? And he's just like, damn it, no, I didn't. And so he just chopping through Wraiths with the Invuln and the Philno Pen. And I'm like, well, Epic challenge him, hit him with the Lantern Spear, then the Wraiths fall much easier.
Yeah.
The lesson learned.
Yeah, the war boss is what did it for me. The war boss and I think Yanari, were the two times where I remember it. Like first war boss with 10 boys and a pain boy. I'm like, that's too much to get through. I'm gonna try to take out as many attacks as I could. And I sweeped into it, picked up like 8 boys. He's like, cool. And the war boss just went ham and like killed my knight. I was like,
there's 9 power claw attacks.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. And then on the WOG they go up to strength 13 or something like that. So they're wounding me on 3s. I was like, cool. You're gonna get to keep your boys from now on, and I'm just gonna precision out the war boss. And then against the elf player, I don't remember, like a long time ago, but Canis Crusader, they charged the Crusader. I heroicked with Canis, and I was just man, I really don't remember who the character was, but he got to fight first. He went into the Crusader because Canis obviously only touched like 2 or 3 bodies. And then I was like, all right, well, I'll precision the character. And like the combat power just dropped from that unit. I think it was also their free CP or some kind of extra strat or something like that.
It was probably Yvraine and then the Vizark.
Yes, because it was 2 characters. They had a lieutenant in the unit as well.
Yeah,
so
Yvraine's unit.
Yeah. Her because she also gave like reroll wounds or something.
That character is epic character 2 up with Dev.
Yeah, whatever it was like, I was like, oh my god. I was like, why is my 400-point model getting absolutely dumpstered by this like 32mm base?
Little
like
guy in a fur coat with a sword.
With an angry cat woman.
Are you kidding me? Oh, so yeah, it's precision, man. To the Technomancer point, because you see a lot of this, they will hide it behind a building and put the Wraiths out. Be cognizant again of towering in your movement when you make your charge. If you can, try to tow that building
in.
So you can see the Technomancer and be able to precision, because if you cannot see it, you cannot precision it.
I just think that is the exact kind of tech and like looking out for that we do this series for, because a lot of people don't consider the way to block precision and melee, and knights are uniquely suited to just ignore, like, oh, I had to bait you, but I rolled like an 8. I only needed a 6. I'm going to tow this wall so I can still stab your guy through the ceiling. That you thought was safe. So that is a fantastic piece of advice that might not come up organically in most games. But, yep. Thank you very much, gentlemen. This has been wonderfully informative. I hope you people at home have enjoyed it. If you have, do be sure to let us and, the algorithm know by liking the video, subscribe if you haven't. We have many more of these coming out for each faction over the coming weeks as it goes on, and hopefully by the time it's done we'll be well into 11th and get restarted all over again with fresh views and more lessons learned as the game continues to evolve. With that, on our way out, Anime, if anyone has any questions for you, your experience, or your thoughts going forward into 11th, we didn't go too much into it because it would be a lot of speculation and the rules are very puzzle pieced right now. But if you have questions, where would someone might be able to find you?
The best place to find me would be on the Onslaught Gaming Discord. I post on there a few times here and there. Do lists, talk with people about other things. Sometimes I post my terrible painting in the painting channel. But if you at me on the Discord under Anime Squirrel, or I think it also is under my actual name, Douglas, you should be able to get a hold of me there if you have questions. I'm always willing to give my hot takes.
There are faction channels, so if you go to the Chaos Knight channel and just at him or any of these gentlemen, you know, they will eventually get their attention. I will just real quick, you know, PSA, they all do have jobs and lives, so give them time. But Caesar, for you as well, if people have questions or maybe you want to get in on some of, you know, your personal content, where might they find that?
I am on both the 40K by Night and the Onslaught Gaming Discord, so you can reach out to me there if you want to have conversations. I'm more than happy to give what advice I can. And then, of course, you can catch my channel, Recon by Fire, where I do battle reports, tactic breakdowns, unit breakdowns, how to start armies. All that is on there. And with a focus into, again, Grey Knights, Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, and World Leaders. So definitely check this stuff out. Yeah, that's where you can find me, Recon by Fire.
Yep, and we will have the Onslaught Discord in the description, and you know, if it's okay with Caesar, a link to his channel for easy access, because it is wonderful, and you guys should go do that. And Dustin, once again for you, if people want to contact you or you know, get any ideas from you, where might they do that at?
You can just hit me up on Discord, on the Onslaught Discord, and like I said, I go by Dustin. I might not talk a lot, but I'm always available. You just, you know, send me a message or just at me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, gentlemen, so much. We here at Onslaught appreciate it. You know, people watching, I'm sure, appreciate your insights and sharing your knowledge. And thank you very much, and thank you at home for sticking with us all this time. With that, I hope everyone has a wonderful night or morning, whatever time of day you're watching this, and hopefully we will see you for the next one.